Morning, guys. How's it going? Really, I miss you so much. And today, let's start a new session. Chapter 2, Matter, Structure, and Properties. Lesson 2, Properties of Substances. You can use your student book, RA, page 114. What are the objectives? At the end of this session, you'll be able to, number 1, know that materials have some properties. We can differentiate between physical and chemical properties and using other properties to identify materials. And now, the materials needed during the session. Number 1, you can use your notebook, your booklet, and your pen. Do you remember from last session what the difference between natural resources and synthetic materials? Yes, natural resources are found in nature without any change by human, while synthetic material resources are changed to suit particular needs. So natural material like iron in a pure form found in nature from earth crust, while synthetic materials like glass, like your pencil, that we made a change on it. Using building materials. Of course, we know that scientists modify materials to can use it in some purposes, like here, stone and wood. Stone and wood, like in this picture, are natural materials, and each has special qualities. Also, synthetic materials are produced for a variety of reasons, like we can use synthetic material like glass to make glass cup and we can drink in it. So, like glass have some qualities that natural materials do not. And here, look at these two pictures and find how we can use the first picture differently from the second one. Yes, first picture for wood, while the second one for iron, and the usage of wood, like to make desk, doors, while iron, we can make car sheets, car doors. Yes, so they are differently in their usage. And now, why? Because they have different properties. From here, we can say that materials have properties, and different materials are used in different ways, like wood and steel. Both are building materials, but used differently. You know why? Why we use wood and steel by different way? Because they have different properties. So, what's the meaning of a property? Property is a special quality or characteristic of something. And now, enjoy this video to summarize what we'll say in this lecture. And video,
Howdy everyone, Mr. Cosby here in my virtual studios in beautiful Atascocita, Texas with another chemistry lesson on the properties of matter. In this lesson you're going to learn about physical and chemical properties and physical and chemical changes. And it's important to understand how matter changes because that's what chemistry is all about. Matter changing and the energy involved in those matter changes. And so let's get started. Physical properties, characteristics that don't change the substance. These are properties that involve no new substance. The substance doesn't change, such as tearing paper or cutting a board in half.
So, what the meaning of physical properties? Characteristics that do not change the substance. No new substance.
all about matter changing, new substance. The substance doesn't change, such as tearing paper or cutting a board in half. That's just a change in their shape or structure, but you still have paper and you still have wood. You can even take and dissolve sugar in water, and you still have sugar and you still have water. You've just changed their form. There's no new substance. All right. Types of physical properties can be things like mass, weight, volume, solubility, density, which is just your mass per volume, and malleable and ductile. And you might say, well, what's ductile? And that's the ability of a substance to be drawn into wires. And malleable means that something can be hammered into a shape, such as gold or copper and some of those metals. All right, examples. Well, blue is a color. 100 grams is a weight, or actually that's a mass. 1.5 grams per milliliter is a density. Pours slowly is a way of describing its viscosity. And dissolves in water has to do with its solubility. But these are all examples of physical changes. There's no, in physical properties, there's no new substance. And that's what we want to be aware of when we're talking about physical changes or physical properties. Chemical properties are characteristics that change the substance. You get a new substance, such as when you take and burn a piece of paper. As you burn that piece of paper, it goes through a chemical change, and what you have left over is ashes or carbon, and what escaped was carbon dioxide and water. You have new substances. That's chemical products, chemical changes. Ideas about chemical or about the types of chemical changes would be things like flammable, corrosive like rust, pH like acid and basic, and explosive, kaboom. All of these are types of chemical properties and chemical changes. Examples would be things like reacts with water, combusts, reacts with oxygen, and a sour taste. That would be an acid, or bitter taste. That would be basic. And usually that comes from a chemical reaction and creates chemical changes. So, recapping our ideas here on chemical and physical changes, a physical or property or change has to do with no new substances. It's the same old thing. Even though you may have changed it, you may have cut it up into little pieces, you may have dissolved it, but you do not have a new substance. That's what physical changes are about. And then chemical properties and changes give you a new substance. You take hydrogen and oxygen, react them together, kaboom, you get water. Okay? That's a chemical property, that's a chemical change. And that's what we need to be aware of here. The big key concept here is that in order for it to be a physical change and physical property, it will involve no new substances. But if it is a chemical property or change, you're going to have new substances. And it's important that we understand these as we begin to talk about phase changes and energy transfer or thermodynamics in the coming lessons. Well, if you have any questions, send an email to Mr. Kazi at Mr.
Okay, and now again. So from this video, watch that we have different kinds of properties. Physical property, and it's a property can be observed and measured without changing the kind of matter. No change. But take care to choose specific physical property because color, size, and shape of a material can change. We can change the color, the size, we can cut a piece of paper, okay? So we have to use specific physical property. And one of these physical property, density, boiling point, melting point, solubility. And what's the meaning of density? As we listen in the video, mass per volume, mass in a certain volume of matter. Boiling point, the temperature at which a liquid changes into a gas. Melting point, temperature at which solid change into liquid. And solubility, the ability of one material to dissolve in another. What about chemical property? Chemical property is a property that can be observed and measured only by changing the matter into a different kind of matter. So here, new substance, or can it change into a new different kind of matter? One of these chemical property, like flammability, you can see here, the ability of type of matter to burn easily, like wood, like some solutions inside our lab, alcohol, okay, can burn easily. It's called flammability. Now find these pictures. Are physical change or chemical change happened on it? We have here rust, and here like brown fruit, brown apple. So rust is a type of chemical change, and also fruits contains proteins, react with oxygen in air, and turns the fruits to brown color due to chemical reaction. So chemical change happen on it. And now, what's a pure substance? To know what's a pure substance, we have to know that all matter made of small units called atoms. Like this picture for water consists of atoms. The red one for oxygen and the blue one for hydrogen. So we say H2O, one hydrogen atom and two oxygen atoms. So atom is a very small particle, the basic unit that makes up all matter. And now we can identify pure substance is a matter that always contains same types of atoms arranged in the same way. Like here, we can say pure water because all atoms arranged in similar way. Copper also an example for pure substance. Now you can tell me another example for pure substance? Yes, like gold, like iron. And now look at this picture. This is cooking pot. Yes, from copper. And also copper wire made of copper. And now, what are some properties of copper? Yes, good conductor of electricity, as we said last session. And also, we can use it because it has high melting point. Great job. So, copper wire made of copper and cooking pot made of copper, but used differently. And here, we have to know we have other pure substances are made up of more than one type, like water formed from hydrogen and oxygen atoms, okay? But still we can say that's pure substance. Water is a pure substance that's made up of two types of atoms, which are, yes, oxygen and hydrogen. And now identifying substances using properties we can use, you said physical and chemical properties. We have different properties like density, melting point, boiling point, solubility, flammability. So each matter has a specific property, we can identify it. And to sum up, we learned this session that materials have some properties and we differentiated between physical and chemical properties. Then other properties, we can use it to identify materials. And now, homework, practice. We can open practice book, page 13 and 14. And also we have another task, a home activity. You can share your family to do this activity. It's written in your book. Use two substances that are similar in appearance, such as baking powder and flour. Make sure the substances you choose are safe to handle. Place one small sample of each substance side by side, and then ask your family to observe and describe their properties. Can your family member tell which substance is which? What other information would help with the identification? Tell your family member what you know about using properties to identify an unknown substance. And thanks for watching, and see you later in a new session. Bye.